Want to know 5 tips to help you avoid a slump in your sales this year? Then keep listening.
You're listening to the Keep Optimizing podcast to increase your traffic, improve your conversion rates, and grow your profits.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chloe Thomas, the host of this Marketing Focus podcast. Normally, we spend each month focusing on a specific marketing method like email or SEO or Facebook ads. And then each week I interview a different marketing method expert to explore the latest advice on it for you. But this month we've gone a little bit rogue and we've spent the whole month, all 5 episodes, exploring the things you need to know to give yourself the best possible holiday season performance this year. We've covered everything from pricing strategies to Google Analytics 4, and we're finishing off with a run through the 5 key things you should be doing to minimize the impact of recession on your business and to stop your sales from slumping further than they need to. There are 5 fascinating tips coming up, a really eclectic mix with today's guest. And if you listened to last week's episode where we were talking about the marketing actions you need to have, these 2 episodes fit so well together. So thanks for tuning into this one too. Do make sure you listen right to the end of the episode, because at the end of the interview, my guest will be sharing some quick fire insider tips to help you maximize the performance of your business. And then I'll be sharing my take on it all, plus outlining some more free ways even that we can help you improve your business even more. So make sure you stay tuned right to the end. This podcast is brought to you by Klaviyo, the email and SMS platform built just for e-commerce brands. If you're marketing an e-commerce brand, you already know that data changes everything. More data means more power. And if your email or SMS tools can't handle all that data, they're probably holding you back. That's where Klaviyo comes in. Its top-notch personalization and segmentation help you send the right message at the right time, guided by unlimited real-time data from your online store and tech stack. Request a demo at klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Today, I'm chatting with e-commerce expert Kunle Campbell. Kunle's the host of the 2X e-commerce podcast and an outsourced e-commerce CMO for a number of D2C businesses. And for just over a year, he's also been the co-founder of the super exciting investment business, Octillion Capital Partners. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Chloe. I'm doing very, very well. How about you?
I am all right. Yeah, I'm having a week of recording podcasts, which is exhausting, but is brilliant for the scheduling.
Exactly.
Brings me a lot of peace.
You're a planner. You're a planner. I recorded an episode on Tuesday, and that's going on Saturday. So,
see, that would bring me out in a cold sweat these days. Couldn't live like that. Couldn't do it.
So much to do.
I'm banking podcast episodes and then getting frustrated that they're not ready to go live within 24 hours, which is just stupid of me, really. But anyway, thanks for asking. Let's talk e-commerce. It's tough right now. E-commerce brands are having challenges. Is that what kind of challenges are you finding amongst those you're working with at the moment?
So it's for a vast majority of commerce brands, we are seeing contraction, and some are severe and others are marginal. Certain categories are just define what's going on in the greater economy. I'll explain why. So for the brands that seem to be not doing well at all, they tend to be hobbyist brands whereby just discretionary income from consumers used to be, thrown at these products or these experiences or what have you. And now, as wallet's being squeezed, their customers are asking, do I really need to splurge in this? Do I really need it? Yes, I know it's summer, or I know it's spring, or I know it's my birthday. Can I just downsize? Can I find alternatives to this? Because energy bills are high. My mortgage is going higher. I'm paying more rent. Petrol is a lot. There's not much left. So to me, it's just a reflection of the entire economy, and it's really say the cream is rising to the top in terms of brands or products that are delivering utility. And that brings you to the other side of the scale where we're actually seeing businesses stabilizing or even increasing the revenue from in the food and beverages sector, because we would eat nonetheless, right?
Still got to eat.
Exactly. So subscription-based brands, whether they're selling things like coffee, cereals, even just snacks, right? Healthy snacks, because people still care about their health, right? They still seem to be doing really well in the skincare and beauty sector. I've seen the brands I have privy to the dashboards. I'm seeing somewhere in the middle. So some of them are not necessarily doing as well as they should, but the impact isn't as bad. So most of their customers are still sticking with their routine. So they've managed to build a bit of a habit, and so they're not losing their churn. If we're going to use SaaS terminology, isn't that severe? So it really depends on the vertical in e-commerce that you're in. But for the vast majority of products, it's hard. It's really, really hard now.
Which is exactly why we're doing this episode, because even when it's hard, there are some really obvious things you can do, which once you've lived through one of these situations, one of these troughs in the market or whatever you want to call it, this stuff's obvious, but not all our listeners have, which is why we're going to go through some of the tips you gave in a brilliant LinkedIn post you put out a few weeks back. And guys, we're going to give you a link to the whole LinkedIn post so you can see all of the 10 tips and also the commentary that went on below the post, which is pretty cool too. But we're going to take you through the 5 top of those 10 in this episode, because otherwise we might be here the whole day, because these are tips I'm really excited about. Kunle, I know you're excited about too, to share. So what's your first piece of advice for anyone out there who's finding it a bit tough, or who's not yet finding it tough but wants to make sure they're set up to do well in the next 6-12 months?
Strategically trim the fat. I mean, from a P&L. So this is strictly for founders and leaders. In fact, anyone who owns a part of the P&L, your profit and loss, report, you need to look at line items, every single line item, and see, okay, is this really necessary? That 1,500 SEO tool subscription, is it really necessary? What's the utility we're getting off the back of it? Or it could even be, unfortunately, staff. Shopify just let they're about to let go of 10% of their staff. Some people saying that the cuts are not deep enough. If you've overhired, you need to think really hard about it. Is the agency really necessary? Have you do you have do you have a strong internal team to help you, deliver? Can you work with freelancers to do the same job? But you really need to review your budget, renegotiate contracts. Things are contracting. At the same time, I would still say you need to be fair when it comes to people. People are not just line items at the end of the day. So you have to have these hard conversations, saying, look, I want to keep you, but this is the math here. What can we do? Can we renegotiate? Can you give fewer hours? Could this be more flexible? Because the costs are real. We're seeing, on the back end, from a supply chain standpoint, cost of raw materials, cost of transportation, shipping goods, all gone high. Cost of fuel going high, your energy prices going high. If you were to increase it by the same margin, you'd be out of business. So I was listening very, very lightly to, for 30 seconds, I heard about McDonald's. I think they have a favorite, they have a cheeseburger that's 99 pence, right? And they're like, if they were to increase prices, so they increased the price from 99 to £1.19, I think. And they're like, if they were to increase prices by as much as their cost, it would be £1.40. right? So they're taking a bit of a hit from a margin standpoint because they're empathetic both on the back end and front end. So you have to really be, you can't put all costs right now on your customers. So I'll just say try and renegotiate. Also look at your supply chain. So one thing a very clever D2C business I'm working with now did is they hired a contractor, a supply chain contractor, to just skim through the supplier market again and find alternative suppliers and get rates. And they're going to take those rates to their suppliers, being very transparent and say, okay, these are the rates we're getting from these other suppliers. We've gotten these samples from them. They're just as good as what you guys, are giving us. What can you do? What can you do? So it's really a negotiation, time. As an operator, you need to sort of embrace.
I'm going to give you one extra point on that, which I'm feeling quite smug about doing this week, is I was signing up for some new software, going for a yearly contract to save those 2 months they always give you free. Mm-hmm. And they had two payment options. One was dollars, one was euros. And I figured as currency is a little bit, moving at the moment, I'll see what they both work out as. 150 quid cheaper to do the euro checkout than the dollar checkout.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, and the overall price was about £750. So that was a big percentage. It took it from like a £900 down to a £750. So check your currency options as well, people. Right, Kunle, that was a brilliant piece of advice. So trim the fat, be hard nosed, look at your costs, see where you can trim your expenses. What's our second tip?
I'll talk about segmentation. Segmentation is crucial, absolutely crucial now than anything. I'm not just talking about, segmenting by the general repeat customers or by first-time customers and returning customers. I'm actually talking about from a more psychographic or more emotional, motivational standpoint. They say people vote with their wallets, right? So looking back, let's say your purchase frequency on a 12-month period is 1. So people, 60% or 70% of your customer base will come back to buy from your brand once a year, once every year. And that there's some 20% of them, your most active customers are buying 2 or 3 times a year. What you want to do is find out who those customers are. So based on I love what they do in Reveal, the OmniConvert guys. They talk about platonic. They talk about like your lovers. They sort of segment customers by relationships, right? And they have like platonic friends, acquaintances, and all of that stuff. But you want to speak to your most loyal customers, segment them, and find out. In fact, this is 2 tips. You just don't segment. Find out what they're going through right now. Why are you not purchasing, or why have you purchased? Why are you still doing what you want to do with us? Why are you still patronizing us? Ask them really hard questions. What is your discretionary? What does your budget look like? Some really, really hard questions, but you want to do it by segment, and purchase frequency on RFM analysis will help you. So recency, which is how recent have they purchased, frequencies. This is how you just segment, and then the monetary value, the people, the highest spenders. But you just don't do one. Definitely work on recency, frequency. So the guys who so the parts of your database that purchase a lot more than others, and then by monetary value, by the average order value. It could be a very simple segmentation. You could split it out in 2 ways or 3 ways, but from there you ask them questions, and then you send them very tailored offers based on the insights you've got from those surveys. So the primary thing you should do now from a marketing standpoint is really from your perspective, from an RFM's perspective, split out your customer list, figure out those people who've even churned, send them a survey to find out why they've churned, and then start to make adjustments from your offer and your product. And that will lead on to my next tip, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. So guys, those of you listening, we've just merged 2 tips together there. So one is to segment your customers so you can make sure you're sending them the right messages at the right time, not just to buy, but also to make sure you're resonating with what they're thinking about at the moment. And then the third tip, number 3, was survey your customers. You need to know what they're thinking about right now, why they are buying, why they're not buying, all that great qualitative data to help you tailor your marketing to meet with them. So, Kunle, what's number 4?
It's down to products, your SKUs. A lot of shoppers are shopping for value, right, at this point in time. So my tip here is create SKUs that actually deliver these actual products that deliver more value. So it could be, bigger value packs. It could be discount bundles. It could be smaller packs for lower AOV purchases. In the CPG space, they're reducing the, some packaging and keeping prices the same way they are. And that way people still get a bit of a hit, that they're used to, but, they don't really feel it on price. So just focus again, when you get back to what customers actually feel from your survey, you can make adjustments to your products and your SKU. So you may not necessarily need to change the functionality or your product itself, the constituents of your product itself, but you could change, the way it's presented, the quantity, and offer bigger value so people save, right? So it's really understanding that just the sentiments of your customers and then adjusting your SKUs to their needs. There's a brand I was working with. They have 2 packages. They have a set of SKUs that are over about $250 or so, and they have another set of SKUs that serve another function that are about less than $100 when you want to buy the packs. And where they've been putting a lot of focus now, like never before, have been the under $100 products. And that seems to be, it's obviously more work, more traffic, more fulfillment, but that just seems to be keeping them a bit busy. Not to say that they're not contracting, but if they did their marketing and the execution of the presentation of their SKUs the same way they did it last year or 2 years ago, they would have shrunk a lot more. So they're just focusing on products that their customers can afford at this point in time, and putting that focus there because they understand that, look, no one's going to buy an over 250 or 300 plus not many people are going to do that now, except a very special group of customers who they then give discounts to for buying the higher AOV products. So they're rewarding those group of customers for just spending more money at the high end, and then they're seemingly giving better value through value packs at the lower end, and also sort of increasing some AOV there when they put the value packs there. So it's just an adjustment really, and the more nimble you are, the better. So if like you're sitting on a lot of stock now in your warehouse, it might be difficult to do that. But if you could bundle things up and create new SKUs, you may be able to sell more and move inventory a lot faster.
I love this tip because I think a lot of people just think, oh, customers want value, we better do some discounts. But actually, what they may want is to be able to buy a month's worth rather than 6 months worth, or they might want to buy 2 instead of 5, so that average order value comes down. So I think these bundles can be so good, and you can bundle low margin products with high margin products and give a bit of a discount, and overall your margin's still protected. So there's so much potential in that tip. So I really love that one. What's our number 5 then?
Our number 5 is find and establish a top of funnel attention and traffic source over the next 12 months. A lot of us are hooked on 1 or 2 traffic sources. Typically, we buy ads, right? We'd buy ads from Google, buy ads from Facebook, and we're running a business, and it's worked over the years, and it will continue to work. It's just that customer acquisition CAC or customer acquisition cost will continue to go high. I was looking at an account 2 days ago, And CPM for that account had jumped in the last 3 years from about $6.50 to about $17, right? Although we have to, the caveat here is conversion rates have actually improved. So Facebook, Google, definitely send in less traffic. CPMs are higher in most cases. At least the accounts I'm have access to. CPCs, cost per clicks, are certainly higher, but we're seeing better conversion rates, year on year, no doubt. However, I believe that commerce, if you're in commerce, you should be a publisher. You should be able to build a community, right? And the two ways of building community are consistently creating content that attracts your customer avatar, your audience avatar, and then layering that with events, with experiential events. And these events could be at the lowest level, online events, and at the most intimate level, in-person events. So just having that balance of creating content. And when I mean creating content, at the most basic level, it could be a blog. It all depends on who you're speaking with, right? If you're speaking with Gen Z, with a Gen Z audience, with an attention span of 15 seconds, then a blog post or a blog post strategy might not necessarily be your best route. It might be creating a TikTok channel and actually growing it, working with a creator or an army of creators to actually build out that TikTok presence. If, however, you're speaking to a 50 plus audience, a blog strategy might actually work, because most 50 plus people read. So understand your audience and then build a content platform over the next 12 months with a target on, how big do you want your audience to be? Now, there are challenges, obviously, to this. There are cost challenges, there are expertise challenges you have to be aware of. But if you don't do it, the overall value of your brand will be diminished because some other competitor out there, has a content marketing plan. And I'm not talking about content marketing plan for SEO. I'm talking about a content marketing plan to actually build an attentive audience. And then you convert that audience into zero and first party data, which you own and you control. And, that then becomes a conversion, an actual transactional conversion in the long term. So if you do not have like a baseline top of funnel platform right now that's giving you consistent attention to a group of people, you should definitely invest. It could be a podcast, it could be a YouTube channel, and not just a YouTube channel just demoing and selling your products. It's actually valuable content that your existing base will value. Run a survey again. What kind of content actually, who do you listen to? Who do you watch on YouTube? What are your top YouTube channels, for instance? If you run a survey to your existing base, asking them their top, YouTube channels, their top TikTok channels, what have you, or Instagram, who do you follow? You could then sort of design a very curated and custom content experience for them. I do think that brands need to embrace that, and it would be easier to control, and your CAC would definitely go lower. Your retargeting on those platforms would be easier. So I work with a brand that has 1 million YouTube channels, and what they do, YouTube subscribers, and what they do is they retarget their audience, and it's much cheaper than going cold. It's much more effective. CPAs are much lower, and it built this over the last 7 years, but it's by far their biggest asset.
Okay, thanks, Kunle. That's been an amazing list of 5 things we should all be doing right now in our business. And I love that last one. Such potential for creativity there, which is a really nice counter to some of the other tips. All of you listening, we will share in the show notes the link to that original LinkedIn post that has the full 10 tips, so you can go and dive through all of those. And remember to stay tuned right to the end so you don't miss out on Kunle's insider tips and my suggestions for more free resources to help you improve your business even further. This podcast is brought to you by Klaviyo, the email and SMS platform built just for e-commerce brands. If you're marketing an e-commerce brand, you already know that data changes everything. More data means more power. And if your email or SMS tools can't handle all that data, they're probably holding you back. That's where Klaviyo comes in. Its top-notch personalization and segmentation help you send the right message at the right time, guided by unlimited real-time data from your online store and tech stack. Request a demo at klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Okay, Kunle, so far we've gone deep into your 5 tips, I suppose, on how to avoid a sales slump at the moment. And now you get to wow us with your insider knowledge about the whole of e-commerce. So for the following questions, your answer can be anything to do with e-commerce, which of course includes everything we've already been talking about. So are you ready for these?
I'll try.
Okay, let's start with newbie advice. If we've inspired someone to take their first step, what do they need to know to give themselves the best chance of success?
Empathy. I think empathy is a superpower. Just taking your time to understand what motivates an audience, to understand what will motivate a conversion, and even after the conversion, to understand when there is a problem, post-purchase, just doing the right thing will lead to a long-lasting e-commerce brand. Understanding who you're selling to, and not just saying not just going to YouTube and looking at those chaps. If you hear anybody say how to make X in e-commerce or how I made X in this store, they don't really care. They care about themselves, about them making money rather than the customer, the problem you're trying to solve. You need to solve problems, right? And empathy, it all starts with empathy.
I love that answer. So true. Once you've started, of course, you've got to keep optimizing. So what's your favorite way to improve performance?
Speaking to customers all the time, regardless of where you are. If the notification bell of sales through Shopify are dripping right now, and you're like, okay, I've got a sale, and you're celebrating every single sale right now, you need to speak to your customers. And if as you scale up the chain, you need to create systems that ask really, really relevant questions to your customers. Post-purchase surveys, one super hack, using post-survey, apps like Inquire Labs to just ask, how do you hear about us? What can we do better? Would you like to have a chat with us? And getting those logs from your, customer support, chats, and actually going through them will help you. It would inform your next products. It would inform how you your copywriting, how you speak to customers in marketing communications. Just listen to your customers. Again, it's back to empathy.
Yeah, if you ever don't know what the answer is, go and speak to the customers. They've got it. They've got all the answers. Okay, if someone listening wants to learn more about what we've been talking about today, is there one cheap or free resource you would recommend?
It's a very, very good question. LinkedIn.
There's a lot of good chat going on LinkedIn at the moment around these topics, isn't there? My
secret to LinkedIn is create hashtags and follow hashtags on LinkedIn. It's a treasure trove. What I did, I got the script that unfollowed everybody. As in every single contact, and then I rebuilt who to follow. Again, you're part of it. You're one of the first people I refollowed. And then
you cut all the people you were following.
So everybody's still a contact, but I just unfollowed everybody. It was like a clean slate, right?
Like muting everybody, basically.
It was like a mute. So with LinkedIn, there are like 2 levels of connections. You could follow, and then you could connect, and then you could connect, and then you could unfollow. Right. So when you're sort of connecting with an influencer, most of the time you'd see if they're set up as a creator, you could follow them. right? Meaning you still can't private message them. But when I have you as a connection on LinkedIn, I could private message you, it's on there. But I could still unfollow what you post. So somebody put out a script on LinkedIn like 2 months ago, and then I just tried it, and then I still had all my connections, but I unfollowed the entire thing, and I slowly rebuilt and started to be more conscious as to what was on my feed. Obviously, things have gotten out of hand again, because it's very hard to manage. It's another job essentially, but sometimes just purge and reassess. But LinkedIn is an excellent resource. I've been doing less and less of Twitter these days. I've just found it a bit, negative. With the threads, it's ego driven, but for LinkedIn, I still think there's quality. There's a lot of quality stuff. Also, just be aware, there's a really good book, just Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. It lets you question what we're doing, because it talks about how mindless we can be if we allow technology take over our lives. And I know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It's good though.
But when you buy ads, obviously it's within that tech ecosystem of social media. Just be aware that, some people buying your stuff are actually hooked to those ecosystems. So it just gives you that awareness. So when I'm like on LinkedIn and I'm just mindlessly scrolling on Instagram, just the insights from that book just reminds me that, you need to stop, take control. Just take control.
Step back from the mobile phone. Loving those pieces of advice. Thank you very much. The last of our questions, though, is it's finally crystal ball time. What is coming up in the next 6 to 12 months that we should be getting ready for?
The economy will get better. Not in the next 6 to 9 months, but I think in the next 12 to 18 months. The next 6 to 9 months, unfortunately, there's going to be contraction. It's going to be hard. It's a recession at the moment. We should hopefully recover. I'm not into politics and everything. It all depends on geopolitics. Lots of it. So just brace yourself. Just stay healthy. Brace yourself for it. Be very mentally agile. Only consume. Don't be addictive to the news. Just consume what just control your consumption of information, and know that we've been through these cycles in the past. 2008 was the last one. E-commerce was nothing to where it is now. So we should be thankful that the e-commerce industry is where it is now. From my assessment, it's grown 6x in the last 14 years. So recessions are meant to happen. But if you go with some of the tips, I've given you, survive. In 12 to 18 months, things should hopefully stabilize. I hope it's not a long stretch of, if interest rates continue to go high, then it's going to affect, discretionary income significantly, the cost of, finance or of money going up. So let's just brace ourselves. Don't spend more than you make, and just be disciplined, really.
I love that, Kunle, and it fits so well with what we've been talking about all episodes. So we are now very, very nearly at the end of the show. So let the listeners know, please, where they can get hold of you and your business and what you're up to and all that kind of good stuff.
All right. I'm a co-founder of Octillion Capital Partners. We acquire food and beverages brands and health and beauty brands that want to improve the way we live. So what we do is we buy clean brands, so clean beauty brands. If you're trying to solve the obesity problem, ADHD problem through good nutrition, and you're looking to sell your business, please speak with us. I'm most active on LinkedIn, as you can imagine. You could find me on Octillion Capital Partners.com, or just Kunle at Octillion Capital Partners.com, or even 2x eCommerce, my podcast on there. Very happy to have a chat, have a virtual coffee with anybody. yes, and that's me. Or just Google Kunle Campbell. But yeah, LinkedIn is where I'm most active on, and you could just get me through email and we'll do a Zoom call.
Excellent. Love that offer. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We'll make sure all those links go into the show notes for you. And as always, it's awesome catching up with you. So thanks for sparing the time to come on the show.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Chloe, for having me on. Appreciate it.
Just loving those insider tips. I love the fact that he was talking about how you can you need to remember to look after yourself better, because it's really easy in these tricky times to get utterly obsessed with your business and forget that a really important part of your business is that you are healthy and happy. So make sure you're doing that. And then there were those 5 tips we shared, which was to trim the fat. So anyone who owns a P&L in the business, get them looking at how they can trim the fat. I bet you there is money you could be saving every single month. Secondly, look at segmenting your customers. Get to grips with the segments that are important to you, the segments that offer you opportunity, and then survey them, but survey the segments independently so you find out what's important to them right now. Should you be talking to them about value? Are they looking to do big multi-buys that will last them for 6 months, or do they need that price point coming down? That then, of course, not only influences your marketing messages and what you're doing there, but it also influences our number 4, which was look at your SKUs, create new SKUs that deliver value. So bundles and packs and discounts and things that fit with what your customers want at the moment. Then number 5 was invest in top of funnel activity, that big content play that Kunle was talking about, and go kind of experimental, have a bit of fun. That's the one where you get to have a bit of fun right now. We have put the links to all of that in the show notes on the website, including, of course, the link I keep mentioning, which is the one that will take you to the LinkedIn post that sparked this podcast episode, and where there's a full 10 tips for you to dive into. You can get all of that, plus the transcript of the episode, important notes, and a lot more at our website, keepoptimizing.com. And we have our special direct to episode links. So if you just put keepopt.com/episode number into the URL bar, you will go straight to the correct page on our website, which is kind of cool. Once you get to the website, there's 2 things you need to do. One, you need to make sure you're on our email list. You'll find signups all over the place, because then you'll get our up-to-the-minute updates on all the other things we share to help you improve your business. And sign up for our monthly Q&A webinar, because I've invited all our guests from this month back to join me for a live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered about just what you should be doing to make sure you have the most successful possible end to this year. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Keep Optimizing podcast. Our whole set of episodes about what you need to know to be ready for this year's holiday season is now live. So please do have a listen to them all and make sure your research and prep is much easier, because you've just listened to these podcasts and they've given you everything you need to know. And make sure you tune in next Wednesday, when we'll be starting our series of 3 shows about marketplaces. Only 3 shows on that next month, because we'll be rounding out the month of September with our famous Black Friday top tips episode. So that is coming very soon too. To make sure you don't miss out on all of that, make sure you're subscribed to us or following us on your favourite podcast player. And why not sign up to our emails too, because then you'll get updates as well. If you know someone who's particularly interested in improving their e-commerce business at the moment, please let them know all the things we're covering, because this show exists to help you and them improve their marketing. Have a great week, and make sure you listen to the next episode so I can help you to keep optimizing your marketing.
Access everything Keep Optimizing at keepoptimizing.com. That's with an S, not a Z.